The Wife of Bath's Tale. When good King Arthur ruled in ancient days, a king that every Briton loves to praise, this was a land brimful of fairy folk. The elf queen and her courtiers joined and broke their elfin dance on many a green mead, or so was the opinion I once read. Hundreds of years ago, in days of yore, but no one now sees fairies any more. For now the saintly charity and prayer of holy friars seem to have purged the air. They search the countryside through field and stream, as thick as motes that speckle a sunbeam, blessing the halls, the chambers, kitchens, bowers, cities and boroughs, castles, courts, and towers, thorps, barns, and stables, outhouses, and dairies, and that's the reason why there are no fairies. Wherever there was wont to walk an elf, today there walks a holy friar himself, as evening falls or when daylight springs, saying his matins and his holy things, walking his limit round from town to town. Women can now go safely up and down, by every bush or under every tree. There is no other incubus but he. So there is really no one else to hurt you, and he will do no more than take your virtue. Now, so it happened, I began to say, long ago, in good King Arthur's day, there was a knight who was a lusty liver. One day he came riding from the river. He saw a maiden walking all forlorn ahead of him, alone as she was born, and of that maiden, spite of all she said, by very force he took her maidenhead. This act of violence made such a stir, so much petitioning of the king for her, that he condemned the knight to lose his head. Of course, by law, he was as good as dead. It seems that then the statutes took that view. But that the queen, and other ladies too, implored the king to exercise his grace so ceaselessly, he gave the queen the case, and granted her his life, and she could choose whether to show him mercy or refuse. The queen returned him thanks with all her might, and then she sent a summons to the knight, at her convenience, and expressed her will. You stand, for such is the position still, in no way certain of your life, said she. Yet you shall live if you can answer me. What is the thing that women most desire? Beware the axe, and say as I require. If you can't answer on the moment, though, I will concede you this. You are to go a 12-month a day, to seek and learn sufficient answer, and then you shall return. I shall take gages from your extort. Surrender of your body to the court. Sad was the knight, and sorrowfully sighed, but there, all other choices were denied, and in the end he chose to go away, and to return after a year and day, armed with such answers as there might be sent to him by God. He took his leave and went. He knocked at every house, searched every place, yes, anywhere that offered hope of grace. What could it be that women wanted most? But all the same, he never touched a coast, country or town in which there seemed to be any two people willing to agree. Some said women wanted wealth and treasure. Honor, said some. Jollity and pleasure. Some gorgeous clothes, and others fun in bed. To be oft widowed and remarried, said. Others, again, and some, that what most mattered, was that we should be cosseted and flattered. That's very near the truth, it seems to me. A man can win us best with flattery. To dance attendance on us, make us fuss, ensnares us all, the best and worst of us. Some say the things we desire are these: freedom to do exactly as we please, with no one to reprove our faults and lies, rather to have one call us good and wise. Truly, there's not a woman in 10 score who has a fault, and someone rubs the sore, but she will kick if what he says is true. You try it out, and you'll find so too. However vicious we may be within, we like to be thought wise and void of sin. Others assert we women find it sweet when we are thought dependable, discreet, and secret, firm of purpose and controlled, never betraying things that we are told. but that's not worth the handle of a rake. Women conceal a thing, for heaven's sake. Remember Midas? Will you hear the tale? Among some other little things now stale, Ovid relates that under his long hair the unhappy Midas grew a splendid pair of ass's ears. As subtly as he might, he kept his foul deformity from sight. Save for his wife, there was not one that knew. He loved her best, and trusted in her too. He begged her not to tell a living creature that he possessed so horrible a feature. And she swore, were all the world to win, she would not do such villainy and sin as saddle her husband with so foul a name. Besides, to speak would be to shame the shame, to share the shame. Nevertheless, she thought she would have died, keeping this secret bottled up inside. It seemed to swell her heart, and she, no doubt, thought it was on the point of bursting out. Fearing to speak of it to woman or man, down a reedy marsh she quickly ran, and reached the sedge. Her heart was all on fire, and, as a bitten bumble in the mire, she whispered to the water near the ground, "Betray me not, O water, with thy sound. To thee alone I tell, it appears my husband has a pair of ass's ears. Ah, my heart's well again, the secret's out. I could no longer keep it, not a doubt. And so you see, although we may hold fast a little while, it must come out at last." We can't keep secrets. As for Midas, well, read Ovid for his story, he will tell. This night that I am telling you about, perceived at last he never would find out what it could be that women love the best. Faint was the soul within his sorrowful breast. As home he went, he dared no longer stay. His year was up, and now it was the day. As he rode home in a dejected mood, suddenly at the margin of a wood he saw a dance upon the leafy floor of 24 ladies, nay, and more. Eagerly he approached, and hoped to learn some words of wisdom ere he should return. But lo, before he came to where they were, the dancers and danced vanished into the air. There wasn't a living creature to be seen, save one old woman crouched upon the green. A fouler-looking creature, I suppose, could scarcely be imagined. She arose and said, "Sir Knight, there's no way on from here. Tell me what you are looking for, my dear. For pre-adventure, that were best for you. We old women know a thing or two." "Dear mother," said the knight, "alack the day. I am as good as dead if I can't say what thing it is that women most desire. If you could tell me, I would pay your hire." "Give me your hand," she said, "and swear to do whatever I shall next require of you. If so to do should lie within your might, and you shall know the answer before night." "Upon my honor," he answered, "I agree." "Then," said the crone, "I dare to guarantee your life is safe. I shall make good my claim. Upon your life the queen will say the same. Show me the very proudest of them all, in costly coverchief or jeweled caul, that dare say no to what I have to teach. Let us go forward without further speech." And then she crooned her gospel in his ear, and told him to be glad and not to fear. They came to court. This knight in full array stood forth and said, "O Queen, I've kept my day, and kept my word, and have my answer ready." There sat the noble matrons, and the heady young girls, and widows too, that have the grace of wisdom, all assembled in that place. And there the Queen herself was throned to hear, and judge his answer. Then the knight drew near, and silence was commanded throughout the hall. The Queen then bade the knight to tell them all what thing it was that women wanted most. He stood not silent like a beast or post, but gave his answer with the ringing word of a man's voice, and the assembly heard. "My liege and lady, in general," said he, "a woman wants the same self-sovereignty over her husband as over her lover, and master him he must not be above her. That is your greatest wish. Whether you kill or spare me, please yourself. I wait your will." In all the court, not one that shook her head or contradicted what the knight had said. Maid, wife, and widow cried, "He's saved his life!" And on the word, up started the old wife, and the one the knight saw sitting on the green, and cried, Your mercy, sovereign Lady Queen, before the court disperses, do me right. 'Twas I who taught this answer to the knight, for which he swore and pledged his honor to it, that the first thing I asked him, he'd do it, so far as it should lie within his might. Before this court I ask you then, Sir Knight, to keep your word and take me for your wife, for well you know that I have saved your life. If this be false, deny it on your sword. Alas, he said, O lady, by the Lord, I know indeed that such was my behest, but for God's love, think of a new request. Take all my goods, but leave my body free. A curse on us, she said, if I agree. I may be foul, I may be poor and old, yet will not choose to be for all the gold that's bedded in the earth or lies above, less than your wife, nay, than your very love. By my love, he said, by heaven, my damnation, alas, that any of my race and station should ever make so foul a misalliance. Yet, in the end, his pleading and defiance, all went for nothing. He was forced to wed. He takes his ancient wife and goes to bed. Now, pre-adventure, some may well suspect a lack of care in me, since I neglect to tell of the rejoinings and display made at the feast upon their wedding day. I have but a short answer to let fall. I say there was no joy or feast at all, nothing but heaviness of heart and sorrow. He married her in private on the morrow, and all day long stayed hidden like an owl. It was such torture that his wife looked foul. Great was the anguish churning in his head, as he and she were piloted to bed. He wallowed back and forth in desperate style. His ancient wife lay smiling all the while. At last she said, Bless us, this is my dear. How knights and wives get on together here. Are these the laws of good King Arthur's house? Are knights of his all so contemptuous? I am your own betrothed, and I am your own beloved, and your wife. And I am she indeed that saved your life, and certainly I never did you wrong. Then why this first of nights so sad a song? You're carrying on as if you were half-witted. Say, for God's love, what sin I have committed. I'll put things right, if you will tell me how. Put right, he cried. That never can be now. Nothing can ever be put right again. You're old, and so abominably plain. So poor to start with, so low-bred to follow. It's little wonder if I twist and wallow. God, that my heart would burst within my breast. Is that, she said, the cause of your unrest? Yes, certainly, he said. And can you wonder I could set right what you suppose a blunder? That's if I cared to, in a day or two, if I were shown more courtesy by you. Just now, she said, you spoke of gentle birth, such as descends from ancient wealth and worth. If that's the claim you make for gentlemen, such arrogance is hardly worth a hen. Whoever loves to work for virtuous ends, public and private, and who most intends to do what deeds of gentleness he can, take care to be the greatest gentleman. Take him to be the greatest gentleman. Christ wills we take our gentleness from him, not from a wealth of ancestry long dim, though they bequeath their whole establishment, by which we claim to be of high descent. Our fathers cannot make us bequest of all those virtues that become them best, and earned for them the name of gentlemen, but bade us follow them as best we can.